All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Man, I am excited about today. So, I told you guys that I have a guest, well, two guests on that I've known. Well, one of them I've known for quite a long time. So, um, actually one of the first people that I've met when I came to Texas. Now, Tony Taylor has done the whole, he did the takeover show where he interviewed me, and I got to share my story. What you don't understand, what you guys don't know, is that the next guest I have coming on, is actually a huge part of my story as well. Um, you know, with Jesus and the Hip Hop Gangsters. So let me first tell you how I met this guy. So I'm going to give you guys this just kind of brief story. So when I first moved here, it was before I met my wife. I was with another girl, and I was at the mall in, I think it was in so we're there. Me and my girlfriend's shopping, which was unusual because at that point I was going through a kind of a major depression, so I didn't really leave the house for a while, and I was just mentally, I was just going through something, and so she finally convinced me to get out the house. So we go to this mall. We're looking at these pictures. They had these posters of things that you had to like kind of stare at, and then like the picture didn't really make sense, but you had to like look at part of the picture or whatever, and then you saw this image. I can never see those things. So we had a deaf couple walk up to us, and she was explaining to them how the picture worked. And all of a sudden we hear this deep bass noise. And the deaf couple tells my girlfriend, "Hey, that music's too loud. Go tell the people to go turn it down." I guess they could feel the vibration. So I'm like, all right, I'll go see. So I go down, try to find out where the music's at. And then I see this group setting up on a stage. And they got up and they performed. And like I was listening to the music. I was like, these guys are, they were good. I really liked what they were doing. So, and I just came from Chicago from doing a show, having my first television show. And I think it's kind of what put me into depression is because I didn't really want to leave Chicago to come here. And I left a lot behind with the show and stuff that I was doing there. And I didn't see an opportunity here in Texas. But so I see these guys on the stage. After they performed, I went up and talked to them. And ever since that, it's been history, man. We became friends. And then I actually started working with them, booking gigs and doing different things for them. So we started a television show, and then we did a lot. Went to a bunch of concerts and different events. So, anyways, so that's kind of how I met Big Ant, and then I met Travis through Big Ant. So let me bring these guys in real quick. What's up, brother?
How you doing, brother? What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
So what's funny, man, is the whole way I met Ant is my girlfriend wanted me to go out there and yell at these guys because, a deaf. And you think about this. First of all, I'm in a place that I would never, most likely would not have been at, and then a deaf couple comes up and complains about the music. Chances that. So my girlfriend, you remember her, Big Ant?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember that.
She's like, "Hey, go tell them to turn that down." So I go over, try to find where you guys are at, and then instead of telling you guys to turn it down, we end up talking, and then we became friends, man. We've been friends ever since, man. So you guys are like brothers to me, man. We've been through a lot together.
Right. That's one story I can remember. Everything else on my mind, people tell me stories, I'll be like, oh, really? But I do remember that.
So how you guys doing, man?
Good. Oh, man, we good. How about yourself?
We're doing good, man. So we brought Travis Sells back. You guys remember Travis Sells, the DJ fireman, who once we had Travis on the show, like the show blew up. I mean, everything we started hitting those numbers. I think yours is still one of the highest rated shows from being on. Which I had a blast doing that show too. That was actual in studio show.
Right.
The in studio shows that we did. So yeah, and so you got a lot going on since then too. So we're gonna catch up with you. We kind of mentioned at the first show our mutual acquaintance with Big Amp. I'm gonna kind of let you go into more detail with that as well. So all right, we're gonna kick it off. So Big Amp, the story or the way that the show is based is about your journey. So kind of tell us what life was like for Big Ant growing up. Like, first of all, where did you grow up, and then what was life like growing up?
Okay. Well, my parents met. My mom was from Louisiana. My dad was from Texas. And when he used to get in trouble with the law, I was told that he used to run to Louisiana, so that's how you met her. So they moved back to Texas, got married, and here he had 3 kids. I had a brother, I'm the middle child, and a sister, Sharon. And we had a half sister named Cynthia. She's Hispanic and Black, so she lived with us. So really, but it was really 3 of us, but it was 4 of us. So anyway, I grew up in Grand Prairie, the Dalwood community. And 1977 is when my dad passed away. So mom had to become dad, and growing up in Dalwood, Dalwood was like back then was like Harmony, but you had to watch it coming up because there was a lot of guys. Dalwood was a city where guys used to fight, and I mean, used to be like, man, if you didn't fight, you got dealt with. You know what I'm saying? So you had to fight coming up. I grew up on 18th Street in a little white shack. We had like three little looked like tree trunks holding the house up. But a lot of people don't know that we had horses in the backyard, mules, chickens, everything, pigeons, everything. And we have to go out there every morning for our breakfast. We used to have to go out and grab a chicken and wring his neck. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't look like that. Some people do know this story. People that live across from us. So we had to go and get the chicken eggs and cook it and pluck the chickens and put it in the tub, and you know what I'm saying? And it was pretty hot water. So I grew up like that. And when my dad passed, everything kind of started going down. We had to get rid of all these little animals that we had and everything, you know what I'm saying? Because like I grew up riding horses. We had a place called Dave Patrick's in Grand Prairie right there. And that's where everybody kept their horses. So I know about horses. So really I'm a country boy, you know what I mean? In the city. So that's what that was. And later on, mom, like I said, had to be dad, had to go work 2 jobs and work hard to support us. But the weird thing coming up is a lot of kids around us, they had the nice house, they had the 2-parent homes. But it was kind of weird. I don't know if we were poor or we wasn't because, every 2 weeks she would give us $20. And $20 back then in the 70s and 80s, that was a lot of money, you know what I mean? Right. So, I don't know, maybe the house, I don't know, but, so that's what it is, man. It's growing up in the Dalwood community. Like I said, it was back then it was a nice place to be before the crack cocaine era came. After that, you could say everything changed. So that's my story.
Cool. So what was the toughest part? I mean, because as things started changing, because like the neighborhood now is completely different from that.
Right. You said what was the what? I'm sorry.
Like everything when that change started coming in, how did it kind of affect your guys' family?
Well, I mean, when the change started coming in, I think it affected a lot of people. Like I said, in that era, because you used to have, back then, you heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. That's right. How everything was before that time when everything started changing. So after that, it's like every man for himself. People started getting selfish. People didn't care about you no more. Everybody was, let's make this money. You had friends who were friends all their life, but when this era started, You know, now, hey man, you short me out my money, don't do it again. Next time I'm gonna kill you. He
Right.
short the money, he killed his partner, and it's like, whoa, what happened? Everybody just got heartless, everybody got ruthless, started bringing guns. It went from fighting to now everybody got guns and AKs, and you know what I'm saying? Hey, it's on now. It's like it became a war zone. It's like overnight, you know. I don't think in no community nobody would have expected, but living through that, it was like, man, you seen the time, so you got to get with it, or you got ran over. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's just how it was.
Right. So at what point did you like realize, hey, because there's had to be a point where you're like, wow, my neighborhood is really gone. You know what I mean? It's changed, and what did you kind of do to react to that?
Well, like I said, I was coming up. I did mention it, but coming up, I was kind of, I was kind of like real rebellious anyway.
Mhm.
And when I started watching things change, like I said, you either had to get with it or you
Right.
got to get over. And like I said, that's when I met Marcus in the sixth grade, and that was I think it was I want to say 80. I think the crack started in 85, but it really got bad in 88 when everybody just really started doing it. The whole neighborhood, everybody was into it. This dude making thousands of dollars over here. You looking at him, wow, man, he driving that nice caddy, man, how he get it? I want the same thing, coming out of poverty, and you see the guys used to run with, and everybody was the same, and now the playing field is different. Hey, I got to be a part of that, whatever you doing, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's how we all started, and like I said, then you started having cliques. Everybody started clicking up. You had to have your guys with you while you were selling to look out for you and have each other back. So it was during that time, like I said, it was something to experience. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
say, hey, we survivors. You know what I'm saying? We survived it. So it's what it is.
Cool. So now for the hip hop gangsters, how did that start?
That started, like I said, when I met Marcus D. In the sixth grade. He moved to Dalworth. I saw him in the sixth grade. Like I said, I'm part of the story. He was calling me Eastman, man. And later on that summer, I was going down to my cousin's house, and I saw Marcus D. And he was like, Eek. And I looked over, and I was like, hey, that's that dude that goes to school. I say, hey, man, what's up? And we started talking. And from then on, we became best of buddies and started hanging out every day and became best friends. So then I said, just to move forward a little bit, when the rappers started, and I think it was 85 when they just really started moving, 84, 85, somewhere in there. And Marcus D gravitated towards it, and he started liking this music, and he, like I said, he was good at it. He,
Right.
Marcus was already a genius, and his mind real smart. If we look at something, we just look at it. Marcus can look at it and break it down and do this. He was real intelligent, man. So I was gravitating towards that. Like I said, he showed me how to study. Get in the books, read, get your mind right, do this and do that. And at the same time, like I said, he learned from me, hey, stand up to people, do this, do that. Don't let them do this to you. Don't let them do that. So it's like we traded something. So as we move on to high school, let's say the rap was changing. When it first came out, you had LL Cool J, you had all these people. Then it started, everybody wanted to be woke. You had the Black Power, you had the Public Enemy come out. And that's what everybody was on, wearing the African medallions in school. So we gravitated towards that and we started, hey, yeah, the Black Power, this and that. And that's why our music changed then, and we started doing that and getting into the community, being young black activists, going to the city hall and trying to get things changed and doing different things. And like I say, starting organizations at the school and just trying to better our people, you know what I mean, at that time is what we were doing. Then somehow, like I said, during the message, you get sidetracked, you get off. And as we started, doing preaching our message, yeah, Black Power, and hey, be encouraged as a black person. Sooner or later, you get it just like Crips and Bloods. They started the Crips was a car gang, and they was doing the right thing. Later on, it turned into gang thing. Same thing with us. It was the same way. Black Power. We bleed certain places, and somebody said we were bullies. We wasn't bullies. We just dealt with what needed to be dealt with at that time. We would go to parties and be like hip hop, and then somebody would say F hip hop, or to hell with them, and then before you know it, we into this big old brawl. And that's how it started. But then we started getting into the streets. Marcus met a girl named Erica West, who at the time her mom had just got locked up, and her mom got locked up, and she had to take care of her brother. So she had to do what she had to do to survive. And so Marcus seen that because he had a heart, he felt like he should help her. So he got caught into the game like that. And I remember seeing him. I didn't see him for a while. And when I found that he dropped out of school, I think he dropped out of school. I think he dropped out of school. I think I was still in. It happened. It happened. I can't remember how it happened. But when I first ran into him, I said, "What's up, D?" And he was like, "Man," I was like, "Hey, you still on that power?" He was like, "Man, forget the power." And he flashed a big wad of money to me. And I looked at him and I said, "Dude, what are you doing?" He said, "Man, I got to do what I got to do to survive." And he was like, "Man, forget that black power, man." And he told me about his girl situation. And I'm like, "Man, you can't do that, man. You know, we got to stand up for the man." And he was like, "This is it." And he showed me that wad. I thought, you know what? You might be right because I'm broke. So put me down with it. And that's pretty much what we started in the game and, started pumping out a little trap up on 23rd. And, he said, "Hey, man, you going to be my security like you was when we was doing the rap." So I said, "Okay, I got you." So I was the security while he was doing what we were doing. And we started pumping and he was making probably about $10,000 a week. You know what I mean? And so we got caught in the dance and everybody started seeing the clientele that we had. And everybody was already, I remember them from school. So our deal was to start an army. We wanted some thing in our mind. Let's start an army and we're going to take down the government. That's what we started. So we're going to get weapons. We're going to get all this stuff. We're going to do everything we need to do. We're going to get soldiers. So we started recruiting from the high schools, even Lamar High School, South, North Grand Prairie, everybody. We had guys who was down, which we called them the special forces. And these guys, you wouldn't know who they were. So we thought we was organized, but a lot of these guys weren't even soldiers. They weren't even really down. But we had the numbers, but we didn't have soldiers. So the guys who really ran with us was the guys just like a starting 10. And these guys, like I said, Steve, Chill, Dan, T-Bone, Crazo, Les out of Chicago. So it was different guys that they was the starting guys that they would get down. You know what I'm saying? These guys will get a gun and do what they have to do. But no, we never killed nobody. But I remember there was a time in our neighborhood where right on the next street, a guy that we grew up with who was Dan's cousin got killed right behind my house. And so I said, "Oh man, this ain't gonna look good." And after that, man, the police, the whole neighborhood, this is where they really turned on us. It was so dark. There was a dark time to where it was like they killing people now. And it was like, oh man, we had to get in. You couldn't walk the hood. You couldn't be a hip hop in the hood at that time. It's like the whole neighborhood hated you and had this jacket on your back. And it was like, oh man, this is crazy. So they would come in and start, the police declare war on us. So every time I would come outside during that time from my house, it's kind of like they did the divide and conquer. Hey, Marcus D, you good. Hey, Dan, you good. Because everybody was hanging at my house. Then they started putting the pressure on me. And I'm like, whoa, this was cool when they was on Marcus. But now they watching me, so I couldn't come outside. Every time I come outside, I went to jail for something. I don't care if it was a piece of gum I threw on the ground. They started messing with us. So, and if you got caught at that time, if any one of us was in your car or around you, you was getting sweaty, you were going to jail. So that's how bad it was. So we kept that jacket on our back all this time in the whole community. That's when they didn't like the sin, but they really hated us when they said they killed this guy. I don't want to say his name, but I know it was straightened out later on, and they found the killer other guy. But man, that was like one of the darkest times ever. I think that's when everybody in the hood, you had the Little Rascals, you had the Downward Hardheads, you had the Dogs, which was more of a fraternity, but everybody got to that point to where they were like, we tired of these dudes, you know what I mean? And it's like the whole community come together, like, we're going to get these guys. And that was a time where it's like, man, whoa, we outnumbered, dude. And so then it wasn't cool at that moment to be hip hop, but we were soldiers. We were going to take it all the way down. But at the same time, it was like, that wasn't a good feeling, man, to go from positive to negative like nothing. And that's what's happened with a lot of games. I think they start out good, and then later on they get into the game banging. And yeah, we did it. We sold dope. We jacked, we robbed, we steal, we did whatever we had to do. But at the same time, when I look back at it now, was it worth it? No. And I say it wasn't worth it because you think about the people that we left in turmoil, people that got older in life, and some people, scarred for life because of some of the dumb things that we done and didn't realize at the time that, hey man, what you doing? We was young, you know what I'm saying, and didn't understand it, that people would carry these burdens for a lifetime. We got people now that still look, man, I hate that guy for what he did. You got people that I'm not proud of some of the things we did. And I can't tell a lot of the stuff we did, but people have to get the book or they have to, get the whole documentary when it come out. Right. I can only give some of the things. I don't want to give the story away. So going through all that at that time, then we started, and when the police came in, when they implemented this, they put a seed in us, and kind of everybody started not trusting each other no more. Like, man, whoa, what's going on? Like, can I trust him? And that's how they do. They come in and they get you. And people think it's good at first when everybody, you got the women, you got the money, you got everybody, hey man, you're the man. But they don't know that when you join the gang, your whole family join the gang. You know what I'm saying? Your mom and everybody. And I say that because I got my house shot up. One time, this guy, he's dead and gone now. Floyd Nelson. And Floyd was kind of cat that didn't play. So I didn't know this about this cat, and one day my homeboy Dan brother come over, and I guess he owed him some money. So I get out and I walk around my little piece and pull my little piece on. Didn't have a clip, and my dad always told me never pull a gun. And you ain't got no bullet, no clip. We had been drinking, so I didn't think. So I pulled the gun on this guy, and man, I tell you, that dude came back around like about 20 minutes later. He had set one guy over behind the building on the other side. And they came back through, and if it went for Bianca, which later she ended up dating this guy. But she said, y'all, here he come. And when she said that, we looked, and this dude was coming, man. He was on top of the car. He had somebody driving. Bang, bang. Me, Dan, Marcus, I think Corio was with us that day. And, man, that dude lit it up like the 4th of July, man. My house was already a shack, man. I mean, that something looked like Swiss cheese. So my mom was inside. She came out, and when she came out to see what was going on, came back around a second time. Oh man! And this guy Corio, which I thank Corio for this today. Man, I was running because them bullets were coming by my head, and like I said, we didn't have our guns on us at that time, because we were hot. So when them bullets was coming, man, everything was going in slow motion, and I'm thinking, oh man, when it's gonna hit me? Marcus went one way, Dan went one way, Corio. And he said, Miss Marcus, come on. He grabbed my mom and literally shielded her off till she got to the back of the house. And when he did that, I said, man, I was forever grateful to that dude today for that because my mom could have got hit. And she always like, man, that boy Corey, he looked out for me. She got on it there. You need to cut this out, da 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 da. But I'm grateful to Corey for that. He put his life on the line to look out for my mom. Man, that was deep. That was deep. But I tell people now, you don't want to get in the gang. So this thing about the hip hop gangsters, the untold stories, we got guys now that, like I said, a lot of them are gone, but we did our best. We didn't lose no soldiers coming up like to other violence when somebody killed them. Right. A lot of these guys got older in life and they started dying off. So we did our job, we did our best. But at the same time, you look at it, gang life is not to be glorified. You can't glorify it. You know what I'm saying? It's not to be glorified. When people think it's cool when you're up there, I'm throwing up my set, this and that. But man, death is real. Death is real. And people don't realize it, you know what I'm saying? And people dying every day. And I tell people, if I could go back and do it again, I always wanted to be a police officer. I would go back and I would went to school. I would have did what I was supposed to do. And a lot of people didn't know too that I was an athlete. I was very good at track. I was fast, you know what I'm saying? And they called me the secret weapon. But my mentality was to get in trouble and sell some dope, to be bad, don't care, just do what I do. And I look back now and I'm like, man, what would have happened if I would have buckled down and studied and did what I was supposed to do? Where my life would have been then, which I don't regret anything. I embrace what we went through, but it's a learning experience and I try to share with people. And that's kind of what we did. And people want to know what happened to the hip hop gangsters after that. Well, this is a turning point. I'm going to turn it back over to you. What the turning point in my life, we used to smoke that PCP. We smoked that whack like it was going out of style. We'd get on I-30 and drive down 30, about 8 of us in a little cab truck and going about 20 miles an hour, going back and forth to Dallas. Going back and forth to Dallas. Some people say, man, that's when they fell out. That ain't when we fell out because when you get on that stuff, that stuff, you don't have a conscience, so you will do whatever you're going to do with that. But I thank God because, when I look back at all that, that kind of took us away from a lot of stuff. We was back and forth. So that was our drug of choice, smoking whack, PCP, everybody know. People tell me today, man, y'all the one started whack. I said, man, I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that. Don't tell me what we started. I'm not proud that people smoking PCP today and die with smoking whack because of we introduced. They did it back in the 70s, the old school cats, but that's not nothing to be proud of. You did this to that person. Man, that's not nothing to be proud of. You know what I mean? So we're not proud of it. So I feel like we had to come back and give our apology. People didn't know what happened while me and Marcus went gospel rap. Well, I was on 30, me and Broderick, it's funny. Me and Broderick, who coming up had got into it over some whack. I was on I-30. Back then, before it was 161, it was 19th Street. And that night it was about 3 or 4 in the morning. So we downtown, we put some swab over this whack. Because I thought he got more than what we're supposed to get. And I said, man, forget you. I'm not going to mess with you no more, man. Just go on about your business. He said, hey, get in the car, man. You got to go way to right there. I said, man, go on about your business. They drove off. And when they drove off, I'm thinking, man, I wish you would have asked me just one more time. I would have got in the car. So then, so next thing you know, I'm walking, and these guys pull up, some white guys. Hey, you want to ride? I said, yes. I run to get into the truck, and they drive off, and they call me the N-word. And I said, oh, this is going to be a long night. So I'm walking thinking, dang, man, I should have just gotten this car by pride. And then all of a sudden, this car pulled up. And this is some weird stuff. And I wasn't smoking. This is weird. And so this car pulled up, and I remember getting in this car. It was a little Chevette. It was blue. And I got in there. This guy looked so big. I mean, he was big, huge. And he was like illuminated. He was white, but I remember I couldn't look upon him. I don't know if it was because I was drinking or what, but I couldn't look upon him. I couldn't gaze upon him, but he started telling me something. He said, you too. God is going to use you too. And I'm thinking, what's he talking about? And, me, the way I am, I know he's talking about me. He can't be talking about Marcus, you know what I'm saying? But he was talking about us. He said, hey, God is going to use you to do something mighty. And then that's when we went to the first Iraq war. He said, that war is not over. He said, when you see people, you take care of them. The hungry, you do this. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't tell him where I was going. I'm just sitting here listening to him. He drive me right up to 19. He go left and he drive me up to the tracks. This is weird. This is a real story. And so it was a train coming. It was about this time. It was about 3, maybe 4 in the morning. This train looked longer. Then I remember it said his name was Jordan. He was going to the right, which is Arlington. And back then, you had to go back down 19, or you could go to the left, going towards Dallas. And I saw you going that way. So I get out the car. And when I got out the car, I was like, whoa, the whole car, man, I promise you, was lit up. I was like, oh, man, it scared me. I ain't been whacked out, so I started running. And all of a sudden, the train that was long, it just disappeared. I crossed the track, and I'm running. Man, I'm running. I end up on Eva Street. And me and Marcus, we didn't walk on Eva Street back then. None of us, because we were told, nobody, you don't go on Eva Street. I'm running. I turned on Eva and ran right into Marcus' feet. And he said, man, you wrong, man. You went to Dallas without picking me up and giving me some whack. I said, man, there it is right here. You can have it. I don't want it no more. And he was like, man, what's up? I said, man, I got something to tell you. So I told him what happened. We get down to his house. And I remember a preacher came on and he said, you too. God get ready to use you too. And he jumped on the floor and he hit me. Hey, man, what you? Man, quit playing. I said, man, what? And he was like, I said, man, you tripping. So after that, that's when everything began for me. I'd be out on the street and we'd be hanging out. And next thing we might be smoking some herb or doing something, smoking weed. And someone say, put that down. And I put it down. Everybody said, man, what you doing? I'm thinking, man, I'm starting to look crazy. Then I remember going home, but I was still smoking now. Don't get me wrong. And I remember this was a turning point. I went home and I was sitting at home and this voice came and this, and like I said, I ain't trying to be, this is really what happened. So take the truth. So I'm sitting at home and like a blanket or something came down out the ceiling and it said, hey, Anthony, I got a purpose for you and Marcus. Y'all ain't gonna rap for the devil, y'all gonna rap for me. And I thought, man, what's the devil? What are you talking about? And it wasn't like a Anthony or nothing like that. It just started out. So I jumped up, man, I ran out the room, and I'm thinking a relapse of smoking that stuff. And my mom looked at me and said, son, what's wrong with you? And I laughed. I said, oh, man, I'm tripping. And nothing. I went back in the room. And then it happened again. And he said, hey, I got a purpose for you. And I remember saying, kind of like Paul, Lord, what you want with me? After he was killing Christians. I said, Lord, what you want with me? And I remember having this conversation, talking to him, but not loud. I said, man, I'm a dope dealer. I lie. I hurt people. We gangbang. And I remember he said, it's okay. I got a purpose for y'all. And that's the time we was dealing. And that's the time we just got in with Suge Knight, and before he was Death Row. And Marcus was going back and forth to California with Suge Knight. And Suge would come to Dallas with, and I'll be rapping for him. He'd get ready to put us out this gangster rap album, everything. And that's when everything started changing. So Marcus would run from the police and be in LA tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It was just like that. Suge kind of took him under his wing, you know what I mean? And Suge had like a lot of rappers around here. A lot of people didn't know. He come through Grand Prairie just like you get up and go to work every day. So that's what he did. So I'm rapping for him in his Benz. Yeah, he said, yeah, blood, I'm gonna fly y'all down there, blood. Y'all gonna be rich. And then we were like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to Tupac and a Snoop Dogg. It was gonna be me and Marcus, hip hop gangsters, because him and was tight. He had a girlfriend, Kim Dimes, Paradise, that was on the Deep Cover soundtrack, and they started dating or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how we met. But anyway, go back. So I'm sitting at home, and all of a sudden it was like, man, okay, what's going on with me, man? I don't get it no more. So then Marcus was facing 2 aggravated robberies. They're gonna give him 40 years apiece. And I remember saying, dang, you know, what's going on? And then here come that voice again. One day he called me, hey man, Suge told me to call you, man. You just be rich. And then there come that voice again. Tell him. So I got this voice on one end and I got Marcus on one end.
Right.
And he said, tell him that you're not gonna do it. I said, hey man, look, I'm not gonna do it. He said, what? I said, man, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, man, what you mean? We've been waiting all our life for this, man. I said, God, he's messing with me, man. I don't know what he want me to do, but I gotta do it. He said, man, you tripping. You been smoking that stuff. No, man, I got nothing to do with that. But I'm telling you. I said, tell you what, you can have all my gangster rap lyrics. You can have all the lyrics of mine, man. That'll give you a whole song. I don't want nothing to do with it no more. And he said, man, you tripping. I'm coming down there Wednesday. I think Travis was going something. There might have been a Juneteenth thing, something going on. And they said, I'm coming down there. We're supposed to perform with Travis. And this and that and that. And then I said, okay, man, well, I'll see you when you get there. And after that, when he got there, you know, we talked about it. And I remember Miss Stan was there. And we were going to do some of that crooked cop. You know what I'm saying? We had a song called Crooked Cop. And then when I put a whipping on a crooked ass cop, every time I'm rolling with my niggas and sing, we always get stopped just because they know we got money. Police brutality, what's that? I saw the battery popped on it and the beat just boom, boom. And the thing went, and when it came to the chorus, it was slow your roll because I'm hype. And the way I feel, I kill a crooked ass cop tonight. And this is the stuff we was going to put out, you know, because we didn't care. We was at war, Grand Prairie police, everybody used to cop, we didn't care. So after all that, Miss Stan looked up and said, no, it's kids out here, y'all need to change the message. So I said, all right. So we ended up doing the song that ended up hitting the radio. See, because one thing about us, we didn't ever want to be on the radio. Let's get that straight. We always wanted to be underground. We didn't care about no radio hits. That's why we never pushed. After you never know, we didn't push to get on the radio. We didn't care about being on the radio. We always wanted to be underground. We wanted to be in tune with the people, not pop chart hits. And unfortunately, we ended up getting 2 of them. But anyway, so after that, I remember we did You Never Know, and Miss Stan was like, okay, that's good. And I had 2 parts, but Marcus didn't have his part. I think he freestyled that day. And he tried to go back to California and record his tonsils swelled up. He got real sick. So he came back again to come to court. And I remember his sister used to always talk to me about, you know, about salvation, about Christ, this and that. And she told us, hey, y'all think y'all like Christ going to turn over, man. He'll take all that from you. So I always listened. Marcus was a hard head. He didn't care, man. Don't listen to hypocrites, man. So, and what happened was Marcus finally did, and I remember his lawyer called him, Brett Boone out of Fort Worth. But I remember he was facing 2 aggravated robberies, 40 years apiece. And when they called, they said, hey, man, you ain't going to believe this, but they want to give you 10 years probation. Do you want it? And his exact words was, hell yeah.
Right.
That's where the Jesus and the hip hop gangsters came in. That's how it started, Jesus and the hip hop gangsters, because, okay, Christ laid down his life for us. That's how Russell laid out his life. He took him, got my boy off the case, gave him 10 years. That's where all of a sudden, then we had that song, and I remember P-Love, who the first rapping down, where he was like, hey, well, before that, let me go back. I'm kind of what he was going to put out, we were still going to try to put out a gangster rap album. And I remember P-Love went to the studio, He was paying for it. He paid for the studio. And I remember we did the You Never Know song. And he
Right.
looked at me and he looked at Marcus and he said, hey, man, I see where y'all going with this. I'm not ready for that right now. So I'm gonna pay for this song and we're gonna part ways. And that's just what he did. That's how You Never Know. He paid for it. And that was like the only song we had when we crossed over. Then after that we got many more. But we took that song and that song just did what it did. But that's how we started doing the gospel rap. And one night, and I'm gonna say this interesting point, I'm gonna turn it back to you.
Right.
Before that, we got to that point, Mark would tell me about his sister who went to a church. There's a man named Pastor Hughes who he can look at you, tell you about yourself. So I'm like, okay, well, about 18 of us, we mobbed down to the church. And they had a late night service about 3 or 4 in the morning. We was out there in the wee wee hours, doing. So we walked up to him. He never met me before, and I got all these guys around me. I said, hey, man, we the hip hop gangsters now. His words. He said, he was like, man, the hip hop gangsters come looking for me because everybody knows we terrorized the neighborhood. We didn't care, right? So he looked at me, and Marcus, after he came to me, and Marcus was up and talking to his sister. He said, you and that guy over there, God getting ready to do something for y'all. And I thought, oh, man, I ain't even met this. Excuse my French. This is what I thought. So, man, I haven't even met this man. How's that possible? And he looked at me and he said, hey, why don't you come down and do something? I told him we had a song called You Never Know. He said, why don't you come down and do a Sunday at church? And I'm thinking, man, I ain't been to church yet, man, since I was 5, 6 years old. This man want me to come to church? Really? So, because we always try to be a man of our word, I said, you know what? We'll be there. So that went on. So that Sunday come, all the guys that was with us that day, we walked in and he said, remember I told y'all these guys gonna be coming in with earrings, shorts. They ain't your traditional Christians. Because God doing something new. He did the sermon. Went up there and gave our life a public confession. Got saved. And then he said, turn the mic over to us. And the rest was history. And that's when we went on the road. A lot of people didn't know what we were doing. We went on the road. We did big shows. Just, like I said, we weren't nobody you could just go pull up at the time because the internet wasn't really jumping and be like Tupac or the Ghetto Boys or Ice Cube. But by word of mouth, we really was big by word of mouth. So we had the best of both worlds. We had the Christian side and we had the secular side. And we called it gospel gangsters. So they started calling us Jesus and the hip hop gangsters. But you do got gospel gangsters out of LA, my boy, RIP to Mr. Solo. What's up, TikTok? But TikTok and Chili Baby. But anyway, we had the best of both worlds. Everywhere we would go set up places in the ghetto, South Dallas, everywhere, just with a system. And we would get out there and just start doing our music and just preaching the word of God. And people would come in, and gangsters and drug dealers and pimps, and get a dope to you and say, man, I'm going to quit working. I mean, big time dope dealers. I'm going to stop work. I'm going to quit selling dope, and I'm going to get a job tomorrow. And they would go and start working at McDonald's. And everywhere we would go, we would do clubs. They would call us and say, come do the club, open up for Breeder, come open up for the sex fiends in Fort Worth, Aragon. We would go in there, and we would go in there performing. When we started performing, you would hear like a pin drop. And when we got done, me and Marcus had this thing, we'll drop the mic and say, hey, y'all go to church tomorrow. We'll walk out in the audience and we'll go out the side of the door. And when we did that, about 100, every time, about 100 some people would follow us out the side of the door and be like, they would say the same thing. Hey man, I ain't been to church in about 20, 30 years, but I'm going tomorrow. So that's the kind of effect we had. We used to go do the juvenile centers, whatever we can do to get in and go talk to kids. We got kids that are doctors, lawyers, people that would have never made it that wrote us and said, hey man, if it wasn't for you guys of buying your tape, that we had that tape with the Max's single with a couple of gospel songs. He said, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have made it today. I'm married, I got a wife, I got kids. So when we was doing what we were doing, you can't say it's in vain. If I could trade that for anything, I would. Because we got to touch people's lives that would never be touched. And Marcus was a soldier. And people wanted to kill us, man, because we were coming so radical. We had Muslim guys wanting to kill us, give me buckshots. We used to make people mad, but we were so bold. But because we always been, if I believe in this or if I believe in you, I'm going to back you all the way. It ain't no flexing, it ain't no backing off. And anything we got into, if I was doing country music today, I would go all the way with it, wouldn't care what you think. And I always been that kind of person. We didn't believe in doing anything half-hearted. If I do have to do it half-hearted, we're not going to do it. So when we went from the black power, we did that wholeheartedly. Then we got into the streets, we did that wholeheartedly. And when we got into the spiritual, we did that wholeheartedly.
Right.
So what happened was after so many years of getting used by certain people, by the church, by this, by that, we kind of backed off.
Right.
But you think about everything we've done, like I say, watching kids live be changed and touching people. And being on the front floor of my boy Marcus D at that time, watching us go from the street to the pulpit, man, that's awesome. So that's our story and what happened on how we ended up doing the gospel rap and they started calling us Jesus and the hip hop gangs. Which now, back then, we were bold when you couldn't be bold. Now everybody just praise God, oh hallelujah. It's like it's a fad now, but
Right.
anything we did, we didn't care. We believed in it. We gonna push it. So
Right.
that's how we were, man. And like I say, it's awesome to see people's lives get changed, man. So that's my story, bro.
You know, and I can say too, like, when I first met you guys, when I left Chicago and came to Texas,
Yeah.
and I saw you guys and the message that you guys were doing then, because then you were doing the gospel music at that time.
Right.
And that's another thing too. Just from where you guys were from, just for you guys to be out in Irving, that was kind of unusual for you guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for us to come cross paths in Irving at that mall was a miracle in itself too. But one of the things that really drew me in was the message, because you guys had the hardcore beat, the gangster beat, which is what I was used to in Chicago.
Right.
All the rap we did was all, it was all the gangster rap, like the NWA, Easy E, all of them, everybody was, back then. So when I heard you guys' music, you guys came hard like that, but your message was a positive message, which I never heard it presented that way before, which was kind of what drew me into what your guys' music was. So the other thing too is once you guys changed your music, you guys already had a name in Dalworth. You guys already were known. And whenever you guys changed your music, you brought that back into Dalworth, and it still made an effect in Dalworth. Because I remember when I go out there to go see you guys, for us to go to events or whatever, all I had to do was say Marcus and Ant. First of all, I'm a white dude. I'm going through this neighborhood. First thing everybody thinks is either I'm a cop, or they're like, or I'm lost. They're like, one of the two. Why are you, I used to get nervous. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm here to see Big Ant and Marcus. Everybody knew you guys. Oh, you here to see Big Ant and Marcus? They're over here. And then they would just like point, tell me where you guys are at. So I know you made a positive. Yeah, I mean, and you were known throughout the whole neighborhood. So when you guys changed from, doing the gangster, the secular gangster rap, into the Christian gangster rap, how did you guys do that? Bring that into the community, and how did that kind of start affecting it in a positive way?
I don't think that when we started doing the positive, the spiritual, I think people knew about it,
right?
But people still kind of was like, they should have stayed gangster. Some people was like, I feel like they should have stayed with the gangster rap. But like I say, when you got to do something, you got to go do what you have to do. So at that time, it's like, it's just like Christ. He couldn't do many miracles in his neighborhood because it ain't that he didn't want to. It's just he couldn't because the dishonor. So the dishonor was always been there. Like, man, y'all hip hop, y'all remember what y'all did. Y'all can't be doing no gospel rap. Y'all can't be doing that. I don't receive that, So people gonna always do that. Like I said, I told Travis earlier, even if Travis can walk on water, they gonna say, you can't swim. I knew it. You know what I mean? So people always gonna have something to say. You know what I'm saying? So we couldn't do much around the people that we knew. That's why a lot of artists they go out and they have to come back. Even Erykah Badu did it. Even DLC did it. 50 Cent, he had to blow up. You have to get away from your people and then come back. And then that's when we received you. But that's kind of my story. But at that time, we did so much damage. And when we left, we didn't get nobody no explanation. Here we are doing gospel. And you know how people feel about when you're doing gospel. The hypocrites went over and now they doing gospel now. Yeah, right. But they didn't know it was a bigger picture is the people that I told you who lives that we touched. Over 100,000 people who lives that we touched. We would go down the deepest parts of Texas, down into by Mexico, and we were so, our message was so on point to where, the gangsters in the neighborhood would come pick us up, ride around. Hey man, I hope y'all ain't got no guns. And listen to me, we used to pack guns. I'm talking about, I hope y'all ain't got no guns. And they would come and they would know these guys are in town, and they would run us around their neighborhood everywhere we went. It's like they rolled out the red carpet. They treat us like we were Michael Jackson, Colorado, anywhere we went. But when we come back home, it was like, that's just Anthony. That's just Barbara. But they don't know, man. We've been across the world doing big things, you know what I'm saying? But that's how it is with, when you have haters, it's the dishonor that people do. It's like, that's just Travis. He's a DJ. If you knew who Travis was, you'd be like, man, that's Travis, Some people just like, that's just Travis. And that's, you're going to have those kind of people. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing. Like I said, that's why Christ can do many miracles, because the dishonor. So we had a big following over there. But then again, we was too hard for the church. And I don't want to say we were too hard for the streets, but they never saw nothing like that. Like, whoa, but the beats got it. And I remember one time we was at a Good Luck. It was a Good Luck in Dallas. And we jamming our CD. Boom, boom, and all these gangsters pulling up on the Sunday. And they walk up, hey man, who is that? Oh, that's us. Can I get that CD? Yeah, you can get it. Give it to them, laugh. Oh man. And they drive off. And you may not see them again, but then you hear stories. Hey man, I remember you. Let me tell you what happened to him. And then I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna shut up. There was one guy, he was a hitman from Puerto Rico. And I remember on this Saturday, this is touching. He was saying he was a hitman. He had 13 cases against him. He was at Grand Prairie at the old Levines over there off of Marshall Street. And I said, man, I do not feel like going this day. I don't want to go today, go perform. And it was a church called Vineyard. They were like, man, Mark said, man, just come on. But man, I don't feel like it. I was just on the moves. So I said, okay, Lord, forgive me, I'm going to go. We went, and when Marcus was testifying, I remember this guy. Mark said, yeah, we spent a game. I remember this guy opened the door, and I remember him looking. I looked back. And I was like, why that dude looking crazy like that? Well, later on that Saturday, I was with my son, and we was flying a kite at Cottonwood Park. And the guy said, hey, man, I remember you. And I said, and I'm thinking, who don't? Yeah, it's just on TV, like, yeah, I got a bad attitude. He said, let me tell you what God did for me. I said, what happened now? And he began to tell me, he told me he was a hitman. He said, shoot people in the head and watch them jump like chickens. And, he had all these cases against him. And the same thing that happened to Marcus happened to him. He told me, he said, man, my lawyer called me this week and said, hey, man, I don't understand. They want to drop these 12 cases against you. And he said, really? And then he said, I think when he dropped the case, he had one he had to deal with. And this guy name was Adolfo. He lived in Grand Prairie in Rollos off 303. And he started telling me all the stuff. He had this job and went from this and that. He told me all the stuff that happened to him in a week. And now I'm doubting, like, really? Like, for real? But he was telling the truth. Later on, this guy ended up being, like, he was so good at doing cars, but God blessed him to go to NASCAR and become a chief, one of those crew chief guys. Yeah. But because of me and Marcus, and he heard our message, his life changed and his family changed forever. And this was a hitman. I mean, he said he'd go in and he'd shoot you in the head, and he'd be business. And when you saw him, you knew he was business. Right. And just to see people like that, and I can go on and on about what we did when we was doing the hip hop gangsters. I mean, Jesus and hip hop gangsters. And there's so many testimonies I can tell people, everything like that. And that was our calling. That was our calling to go back out to the streets and win them. And that's what we done. And I wish we had a little bit more time to do that for the times that me and Marcus, we kind of split off for about 8 years. But at the end, before he passed, the last 3 months, man, me and him was like friends, like we were when we were young. You know what I mean? So it was awesome to have my friend, my brother back. And he went on, and I'm still here. So I felt I had to tell the story. And my thing, if anybody watching, kids, anybody watching, let me tell you something, and we used to always say, what gang? It's just don't sound crazy. It's all right to be in a gang. What does it mean by that? Gang, good and not good. What kind of gang are you? Are you a gang for the community? Are you a gang for crime? The police officers in gangs. Fraternities are gangs. Fraternities are gangs. I mean, these are gangs, but they do good things. When you get caught up in the crime, that's when that game is not good.
Right.
So I tell people, be a leader. Don't follow nobody. Be yourself. And now we're in a time to where, especially my people, brothers and sisters, we got to come together and look out for each other, man. We got to cut all this hating. You know, everybody got things in the world, and we over here hating on each other. It's like we still letting that crack epidemic and that mind state still hold on to us. You know, forget I'm all about myself. We can't be like that no more. We got to come together and push each other up. So we once destroyed the community, and now our job is to build the community. And I want to say this to if Gary Saunders. You sent a friend request last night, and I know you was looking at my page and took it back. But I want to say, man, some of the things that we went through, and Marcus told me to tell you this, he never knew. Man, forgive us for some of the dumb things that we've done to you and some of your friends coming up. A lot of you guys, forgive us from all my crew. Forgive the dumb things that we done because we was young and we was kids and we didn't know better. We thought this was the way to go. But I tell you, you know, from the bottom of my heart, all the HHG, forgive us. And I know some of y'all took that pain. I wish I could take it back, right. But I can't. So forgive us. We got nothing but love for y'all and we forgive us. I'm done.
Cool. So, you know, you talk about that too. When you and Travis met, you know, you guys have done a lot since. But when you guys first met, it wasn't that way. So, you know, kind of let's talk about that. Right? We'll talk about how you two end up meeting each other.
Well, I knew Travis when, like I said, when rap first began. He was the only DJ that was doing it in our neighborhood, and he was good at it. And I remember he used to open his window up. He's opened his window up and let everybody hear his mixes, so the whole neighborhood knew. And I lived on one end. I lived on the it's two sides of Grand Prairie. You got to split up by the county line, 23rd. He lived on the county line. I lived on the other end of Dallas, me and Marcus. But I used to walk all the way from my end, all the way down to his house. And me and him, that's when I think B Street was out, Breaking was out. We were B-boys too. We were breakdancing. But he was in the breaking and DJing. So I used to go down there, man, and just sit. And I remember one mix that he did, and this is gonna make you laugh. I remember it was Eddie Murphy, and it was, "This is my house. You don't like it? You can get out. You can get out." I remember that mix, and I was like, man, when I heard that, and the way he can make the records talk, I was like, man, this dude is bad. So I told Mark, you got to hear this dude, man. This dude is bad. So everybody knew him, even then, and that's been his passion. You know, like I say, he can take the rest of that, but everybody in the hood knew. And when everything came down, whether it was Juneteenth, whether it was birthday parties, you didn't get no other DJ. You got Travis Sales. Even to this day, most people, it's a dishonor to me, and most people feel this way. Some people don't. That's fine, they don't. But most people be like, no, let me reach out to Travis first for this event. If he can't do it, then I'll move on to somebody else. And that's just the way it's been because not only, you know, he don't just play records. You know, he interact with you. And I don't know if you've seen some of his sets. I mean, the dude's been on fire, so he always been our DJ. And the funny thing is, me and his crew used to fight, and after it was done and said, we used to say, "Hey, Kevin, we got the studio tomorrow, and he'll come to the studio, and he'll do little mixes, and we'll do that, and we'll go on about our business." So he was always a DJ that I called him my DJ, even though he was with the dog. He wasn't officially our DJ, but he's our DJ. That's what he said. That's my DJ. That's our boy. When we go, he's going to go. So that's how we knew him. And like I said, if you just know his following, genuine guy, ain't out to get nobody, just cool, laid back. And I come to him for a lot of advice even now. A lot of people don't know that. And, you know, I'm like, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" And a lot of things that I wanted to do, he said, "Man, don't do that. Don't do that. Leave that alone." And I appreciate guys like this guy. And anybody like this who worked, took care of his family, as a work and do all that. Oh man, you can tell me what you want to tell me, you know, and he don't talk me out of some things that I knew was going to cost me, you know, because let my anger get to me. And he said, "Hey, man, don't do that." Even now, I think we had a conversation the other day, and he told me, "Let certain things go." And I ain't going to say what it was, but he said, let that go. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to do that." And I ain't going to bring it up because I honor this man's opinion, you know, because he's genuine. He going to tell you the truth. "Hey, man, I didn't like you did that. That wasn't cool. Just listen to me now." And you're like, "Oh, okay." Now, I got some people who try to do that, but man, you can't tell me anything. This man, like I said, this man don't been in the struggle, he don't been in the battle. He's not only my DJ, but he's a friend. I call him a friend. I love this guy. he loved me back. And if anybody hating on me, you got to deal with him. Same thing with me. You got to deal with me. So that's the kind of love that we got from each other. That's real. And he always tell me, hey, I don't care who don't like you. I like you. And you my boy. So that's how we are. We've been in unity. And now we try to just build and do some positive things, man. And let these kids know that, hey, we've been there. We've done that. And, you know, he got a story that he going to tell. I know he going to tell the story. I want to hear this story. And he was right on with this story. I remember a little bit of it. So when you know, but that's that. Like I said, this is my boy, this is my friend. And like I said, I'm at his house. You know, when you don't go to nobody's house, that's like, you know, oh, that ain't my boy. But he always made you welcome. Y'all can come. I'm having a gathering. Come on through. So that's real. And I appreciate it for that.
Cool. So in Travis, man, we had you on and we talked about your story. But since we've had a major change since the last time we talked. So why don't you go ahead and kind of tell people what's happened since the last episode.
Well, the biggest event for me, I'm gonna call it an event because it's a peace of mind.
Right.
I love the job and I also hated the job. Mm-hmm. Just some of the stuff you go through in the job. So I retired from the fire department back in April, and so I'm a free man. Mm. You know, I felt like I couldn't speak my mind. I couldn't say what I wanted and how I felt because I was handcuffed.
Right.
Say the wrong thing, they cost me. I'm free now. Not that I'm gonna go out and say some crazy stuff, but I'm free to do what I want to do and not worry about any kind of consequences.
So, if you guys haven't seen, go back and watch the episode that we did with Travis and listen to his story, because his story is incredible. His journey is just incredible. Where he became a firefighter, and all we talked about a lot of the stuff that you've been through as a firefighter. What life was like on that, and so you were a firefighter for what, like 20 years? How was it? 23 years to be a firefighter, and all the stories that you had from that, man, was just amazing. And that's the other thing too. When you look at both you guys sitting there, Big Ed's talking about because he went more towards the game, and how he's like if he could do it over, he'd have been a police officer. You kind of grew up around the same area, and you chose to be the firefighter. So, seeing the two of you sitting in a room, is just I would say a miracle, but it's cool to see how two people from the same neighborhoods, it had different lives, are coming back together and doing the things that you guys are doing in such a positive way. And it's cool too how you think about it, how God brings people back around. You think about it, and a lot could have happened to you through that time. There's a lot that could have happened to you from the choices that you made. But I think that when God had that calling on you, and He kind of drew you away from that, although you guys weren't trying to get on the radio and do all the things that because you guys wanted to be underground and stuff. I think God opened a lot of doors for you guys. Because like when we were together, we did a lot of stuff. We went to a lot of places. We're talking about the boys' homes. You got to do stuff with the Dallas Cowboys. You guys did a lot of traveling, and there's times we went up to K104, 100.3 jams. People probably don't know what 100.3 jams. We were up there. You guys were doing your thing with the music. But I think it opened doors, and it gave you an avenue and a platform that to help reach people that you guys wouldn't have otherwise done underground. And to see all the lives that was changed from that, and then coming back around to where you guys are now. I know we all miss Marcus D. For those who didn't get to meet Marcus D was someone, that dude was special, man. That dude, and Marcus D, I remember, all the conversations calling up Marcus D, and talk about a soldier. That guy was a soldier. Even at the events we went to, you know what I mean? If somebody was doing something that Marcus didn't agree with, Marcus would stay at the event. I remember how many fights that almost broke out because of Marcus D. Speaking his mind. But the cool thing is too is Marcus. You talk about Marcus being a lyrical genius, man. That guy, the way he rapped and the way that he performed on stage, I think that almost he was like ahead of his time during that period. The way that he performed and the way that he wrote his lyrics. So it was just I miss Marcus for real. I mean, but I'm excited because I know Ant's back trying to do you bring the music back, which I'm excited about you doing. So what do we talk about that? Let's talk about some of what you guys are trying to do now.
Who that for me or that's for me?
Well, both of you guys.
Like I said, I wanted this story to be heard because I heard so many misrepresentations of who we were. You know what I'm saying? It was just these guys were just ruthless, didn't care. So when I started this, the untold stories, I didn't know it was gonna catch. You know what I'm saying? Catch as big as it got. But I wanted to let people know who we really were, who Marcus D was, who Ed was. These are guys who got heart. Who got families, who love people. Just got caught up in the wrong thing. Now, I always do music. You know what I'm saying? I like doing music, even if I can do it, make a jam. I'm gonna continue to rap. I'm not trying to make it on the scene like that. I'm not pushing that hard. I'm a professional truck driver. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I do. I make good money doing it, and I like getting on the road because that's a tool to still talk with people, meet people, and people from all over the country. Sometimes, you do things for them and you help them out. And, everyone, whatever you need to do. But I like getting out there in the open road and watching those mountains. That's my peace. That's my sanctuary. That's how I get my peace. When I come home, I'm like, I'm ready to get up out of here again. You know what I'm saying? Some people say you should just move somewhere else. I said, I'm thinking about it. I need to get away from it. But anyway, no, I always are gonna continue to work on music. And today, if someone music, they call and say, hey, we want you to come do that. Of course, I could do it. I'm not going to do it. But I'm not, like I said, we established as artists. It's like if Stephanie Mills or somebody came out with an artist, she established. She did an album in 50 years. Same thing with us. He did an album in a long time. But I still make music and still do videos. And a lot of it still catch people and it touches people. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to go be this 50-some-year-old rapper and trying to go out there and be this and that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not dissing nobody that is 50 years old and rapping. Hey, that's what you do. I got boys that age and some of them are tight. So I'm not dissing that game. I'm saying I'm not trying to do it because I've done it and I had fun doing it, and you can't rebuild on what you already done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fine with that.
You doing it for the love?
Yeah, I'm doing it for the love. So I don't care if I get paid off of it. Now wait a minute. If I do throw it on there and somebody, I'm streaming and get paid, don't get me wrong. That'll be cool too. But I make enough money, you know what I'm saying, to do what I do anyway. So I don't really, you know what I'm saying, I'm not really into that like that no more. So people, where you gonna work? No, I'm not taking that serious no more. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at some of the stuff, you'll know. I don't really take it that serious no more. I don't focus on it that hard no more. I just like doing what I feel. So that's what that is.
Cool. And what about you, Travis?
Well, I'm just still doing my passion, my DJing. That is my heart.
Right.
That's second to my family, and it's a close second. And so DJing is my heart. Now I can concentrate on that 100%, not being the fire department. Fire department, like I told you before, fire department was never my passion. It was a means to get to do the DJing at a very high level. That's it. There was never no true passion for the fire department.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to live out my dream all the way now.
I see you've been doing like tons of events, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking up on Facebook, man. You're hitting. Yeah, I mean, you're like everywhere now.
I'm playing tomorrow in I think Justin.
Okay.
Justin, I got a wedding to do tomorrow in Justin. So it's fun, man. I love it. I hope they do it till they plant me.
Right. And you got a little protege now too.
Oh yeah, my grandson Leighton, man, he go hard, man. There's a video on my page where he did the light show at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Oh wow.
He did the whole light show, and he been doing it since he was about 2. So and he's 7, he'll be 8 in September, but he got it down.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sitting there watching about some of your videos, man. He got his own little setup. He's got his own.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right, cool, man. So and now if people want to book you for events, what's the best way for them to do that?
So what they do, they can either go on Instagram, Facebook, and just hit me in Messenger, and then they'll reach out to my wife Tanya. She does all the bookings for me, and all the information on both of those pages.
All right, cool. And what we'll do too is we'll put some of your social media in the detail section so people can hit that up and check out some of the stuff you've already done. You're blowing stuff up on TikTok. Yeah. Your Facebook. Yeah. So man, I'm glad, man. I'm glad you're out there doing it. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
To live out your passion, man. Because dude, you're good at what you do, man. You as far as like DJing, man, you kill it, dude. So
appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my passion and listen to this great story over here from Big Ant.
Right.
And it's a good guy, man. People, they don't get it. They holding grudges from some teenage stuff, early 20s, and they just got him paid wrong. And nobody should throw stones. Believe me, in a glass house, you just shouldn't do that.
Right.
That's a good man. I'll vouch for him. Not that I'm somebody. I'm just saying this. I don't rock with dudes that ain't righteous. This is a good man, and I hope people learn that and listen to his story and to see where he's came from and where he is now.
Like I said, I've known these guys for about 24 years, 25 years.
Right.
Yeah, we go back a long ways, man. Like when I first moved here, I was still like a little punk kid too,
Right.
And we've been friends since then, man.
Right.
I think of all the people I know in I think we lost them. But
hope you knock it off. Man. There we go. Well, I don't see him now. He ate it off.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah,
That's one of my Jacob, you messed up the podcast. So
yeah, they booted me, man. So what I was saying though is that I've known Big Ant for like 20, 25 years, and we go back. And I think that of all the people I know in Texas, there's like one, 2 brothers I know I've known longer. But other than that, man, both Big Ant and Marcus, they've been like brothers, man.
right.
Brothers, and we've been through a lot together. So when Big Ant, when you started doing this, the Untold Stories of Hip Hop Gangsters, man, I really enjoy going back and hearing, everything where it all started from.
Right.
So, I'm glad you're doing that. And like I said, I miss Marcus D. But same time, we talk about, being able to go to people for advice and talk to people, and Big Ant's been like that for me too. So.
Hey, let me say something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are out here watching, probably a lot of people gonna say, "Man, Ant up there talking about Marcus like they was tight." Man, me and Marcus had a brother relationship. We fought,
right,
like anybody else would. You know what I mean? We had our days, our times where we argued just like anybody else, like a marriage, whatever. It was a marriage, is what it was, because we performed together.
right.
A lot of people out there that saying, "Oh man, you act like they that cool." We were that cool because, like I said, it's last months, man. Everything that we did when we was team, before all the insiders come in to break us up, I got that last 3 months with him before he passed. That man, I'm forever grateful that I got that moment where we was hanging out, we was tight, we were laughing, we was joking, and it was fun. So it was a time where, like I said, he went to Vegas. I didn't see him for a while, but then Marcus was cool when he died. But like I said, hey, I got a sister. We argue. We still family. So I got a right to argue with my partner. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So all y'all who thinking, oh man, Marcus said, I don't care what Marcus told you. You know what I'm saying? That's just like you argue with whoever you argue with. That's y'all business. I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? So
let me touch on that again. So
go ahead.
There was one time they were into it, like brothers do.
Right.
And, I was cool with both of them, always have been. And so they called me at separate times, you know, venting to me about each other.
Right.
And I don't even remember what they were saying because I didn't even entertain it. But what I did say was, man, that's your brother. You love him, and you know it. And I said this to both of them. I said, y'all need to reconnect. I'm not trying to take no sides. It's not important, but you know you love this guy. You know you love it. I told you both separately. Right. And I'm not saying I was the reason why they got back together. It don't matter. But what I did do is entertain and go, here, man, you know, bump that, man, forget that. I said, hey, you love him. I'm not trying to hear what you're talking about. Y'all reconnect. And they reconnected. And so, man, I'm glad that they got to do that before he passed on. And Anthony could know that was my guy. So anybody that was saying, you know, they wasn't tight like that, everybody fight. Everybody fighting. Come back, every wife, every child, every mother and father. And they came back together like friends do. And so I'm grateful that they got to me and before Marcus got up out of it.
Right. Yeah. And you know, same thing with, and some people don't realize, as talented as Marcus was as equally as stubborn too.
Oh, yeah.
Just as talented. This guy is like, he's major talented, but he was majorly stubborn too. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this. Do you remember the movie Cooley High? You ever see Cooley High?
Yeah.
So the guy on there this was the hip hop gangster. I was telling Anthony this earlier before we came on. I said those two guys was Marcus and Anthony. Anthony and Marcus, the one that killed Coach Cheese when he hit him and made him hit his head.
Right.
He looked like Marcus. He acted like him. The whole go back and watch that. And that was them at every party. They coming in and they said the cause man.
Right.
I don't care where it was. So I get where some people may feel some type of way, but come on, everybody did some stuff that they wouldn't do today, and they grace for it. And so we never really got into it like that, but I understand who they were, and we knew when they come in, okay, we just have to get there with these cats. that was a must. We knew how they were. Now this is a story he was referring to a little earlier with us and them. So we was going at each other back and forth. Every time they came to a party, it was mayhem. And so it was just getting ugly. And so we decided, hey man, we need to make a truce because we live in the same neighborhood. We could touch each other real easy. Right. Just a street away from each other. So we called this truce and we meet up at the store, Mr. Chung's, back in 1990. And so we go to this truce. There was some cats that they messed with from Dallas, who we didn't really know, but we knew all of them. And so we meet up at the store, and then we end up getting into it at this truce. So they end up kind of trying to jump us. So we end up saying, okay, well, we'll see you when we see you. So we get our crew together. We 50 deep and we looking for them. We're going down Sherman. So we don't find them. We don't know where they're at. So everybody split off and go their separate ways. And we wind up coming, I don't know what street it was. I just know it was off of Sherman. And 18th Street. And we see them. We're like, there they go right there. Remind me of the, was it Boys in the Hood? Yeah, there they go right there. And so we strapped down. I got to pick up the mini truck. We called the yo. There's people in the back. Me and my boy K9 in the front. We draw down. We open both doors. They do the same thing on their car on a side street. They out. And someone screams out, here come the po-po. And we all drive off. And, that's that thing that could have changed all of our lives. Had someone not screamed out that, it could have not even been the po-po. Could have been one of our guys or one of their guys that didn't want to do what we shouldn't be doing. Right. And so we drove off. I'm looking back at it now. Me and Ann talked about it several times that some of us could not be here because of that particular day. Some of us could be locked up or in the grave because of that simple day. So, like he said, to glorify gangbanging, that's silly. That's not what we're about. And young men and women, remember, decisions you make can cost you for the rest of your life. Had someone not said that, here come the popo, it'd be a different day right now today. So I'm thankful that whoever yelled that out, yelled it out.
Right. And you think about it too.
I don't know.
And you think about it too. You talk about the gangbanging and how that could have been so much different than the outcome. You never know what the future holds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at that moment, you guys were ready to shoot each other.
Right.
But now, I mean, look at all the stuff that's happened with you guys from that point. From that point on,
Right.
was positive. You know what I mean? So that one moment in time could have changed all that forever.
Yes.
And you guys would have missed out on everything after that. And I think that falls. Our youth gets one-sided. One focused on one thing. You know what I mean? Like the now, and they don't understand what the consequences are.
Right. Right.
And you don't understand that what you think is this big mountain of a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is really nothing.
It's nothing.
It's a phase in your life. It's all temporary, and God has a bigger plan on the side of that problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at the end of it, you guys are able to work it out, and now you guys have like a friendship a strong bond with each other that would have otherwise never been.
Right.
And that's what people need to consider. When we do this stuff. So I'm glad it happened. I'm glad whoever called police.
Whoever said it was a good thing. Whoever said it.
It's possible none of us would be sitting here.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, I want to thank you guys for being on, man. This is a story that I really, want people to get out there and hear. So, it's about time, that we got you on here, man. As long as I know you, I know you were waiting for the right timing. You know what I mean? To be able to come on the show. So, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad you came on. Glad to have my brother Travis back. So again, man, thanks guys for the show, man.
Thank you for having us.
Too, man.
All right, guys. Until the next episode. Remember, you're uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward.
One.